Hello. Thanks for joining us on the mountain trek. Make yourself comfortable and we will begin our journey. The air is cold after recent falls of winter snow across the vastness of the tundra. The few distant trees bend under the weight of successive snowstorms, their bare branches heavy with snow. From their branches, brightly coloured Buddhist prayer flags hang motionless in the cold mountain air. The early morning light glistens like jewels off the long icicles that hang from the branches. As far as the eye can see, the vast plainlands are a carpet of white. Above, the cloudless sky is light pastel blue. Distant herds of yaks, with their heads hung low, forage in the snow for tasty green shoots. The young calves playful, seeming oblivious to the cold. The vehicle that will carry the adventurers is being prepared for the long drive. All the gear for trekking and climbing is packed tightly on the roof rack. Each heavy backpack is overflowing with climbing ropes and a week of personal supplies. Sturdy metal containers containing food, camping and cooking gear complete the heavy load, with their contents secured by sturdy padlocks. Next to those are unrelated supplies, deliveries for a few isolated villages that hug the rocky escarpments that the rough mountain track passes through. The battered old four-wheel drive truck has done the journey many, many times over the mountain terrain at the top of the world. The driver, a quietly confident man who is a native of this town, is one of the most experienced climbers and drivers in the region. His weathered face looks to have seen many a long winter. He completes securing the load, his weathered hands and sturdy frame making light work of it. The views already are breathtaking. The open, undulating, snow-covered tundra, the summits of the distant peaks, the colours of the sunrise, reflected off the low-level clouds that hang over the distant mountains. From this distant viewpoint, the rocky track over which the driver will be travelling stretches uninterruptedly to the base of the mountains. Following the stony track, the old truck slowly leaves the village behind, its heavy load causing the truck to lean from side to side as it progresses. Passengers adjust themselves on the crude seating for the rough trip ahead. Handholds are found, and windows opened to give extra room in the cramped cabin. It soon becomes apparent that the journey to the base of the mountains will not be quick, given the roughness of the road, uneven terrain, and the weight of the vehicle. In vain, the trekkers attempt at taking photos, but holding a camera still long enough to photograph the beautiful scenery is long forgotten as the vehicle continually lunges from one side to the other, negotiating the badly eroded track. A river crossing forces the driver to stop the vehicle. In the changing torrents of the fast-flowing river, hidden boulders, forced downstream by the constant current from melted ice water from the mountains, can pose as obstacles that can stop the truck midstream. The adventurers jump out of the vehicle to the sound of the roar of the flowing river. The driver quietly ties himself to the front of the truck with a long rope, then wades into the icy water until he is chest deep to test for its speed. Satisfied all is okay, he returns to the truck and calls out for the trekkers to board. The river is a soft, icy blue in colour, and along its banks are clumps of mountain wildflowers. Their vivid colours a beautiful contrast to the white of the landscape. What appears to be a family of furry marmots frolic around a group of boulders by the water, oblivious to the truck and its adventurers. The light changes across the tundra as the day progresses. The soft pastel colours of the early morning have been left behind. The light changes to a brighter, more intense light reflected off the snowy tundra. The air here is filled with the sweet aromas of wildflowers that grow along the river that stretches off into the distance as the track now heads for the snow-capped mountains. The truck negotiates the river crossings with apparent ease. All aboard give out a loud cheer, and all are grateful for the skill of the driver, who quietly whistles to the tune of local folk songs as he continues on negotiating the twisting, winding track. As the hours roll on, the view to the distant mountains starts to show them free of cloud. Their rocky summits covered in dense snow are now in clear sight. It's not until the truck approaches closer to the base of the mountains that large birds of prey can be seen circling very high above. The birds appear black when viewed from below. They seem to be more active as the truck moves closer to where their nests are. They live in the highest region of the Rocky Plateaus, eking out an existence using their keen eyesight to dive and catch unsuspecting prey. They circle effortlessly above for hours on the uplifting wind currents that rise off the vertical faces of the mountains. Occasionally, their high-pitched calls can be heard by the trekkers echoing through the mountain valleys. The truck stops at a high vantage point for lunch. The only sound in the still mountain air is the noise from rapids far below. The trekkers look down into the valley to see a raging torrent of mountain water racing over many shallow rapids. And above can look at the walls of rock towering above, giving them a sense of scale to the enormity of this mountain range. In the cold, a number of the trekkers play a game of frisbee to keep warm. Everyone boards the truck again, and it continues winding around the narrow mountain track, pausing at times to creep under large boulders protruding from the rock face. The truck comes to an intersection with an old weathered timber signpost with a dozen destination names and distances. The driver, in the thin mountain air, slowly unloads the large crates from the roof of the truck. Helpers set up the food tent and stow the provisions. That night, in the fading light of the sun, all are gathered around a large campfire, feeding on a hearty meal. Above, the evening sky is a mass of stars, the moon throwing a soft glow across the snowy mountain slopes. It seems, in the evening stillness, that the world has stopped, where all can sit back and relax around the campfire and hold in their hearts the beauty of the mountains.